please allow me to stand on all existing protocols, but just a real delight to be here with such a distinguished group of speakers and panelists and with UPF on that. So yeah, let me just kick off by making a few remarks about the trade and economics. I mean, I think we all sort of understand the concept of otherness. And of course, as Robin said, I've been all over the world. I went to China the first time in 1983, moved there in 1998. And it's very easy sitting in one place to have a view of another place or another people that is not accurate. And I'm particularly keenly aware of this as someone who spent a decade, more than a decade living in Nigeria, in fact, in Lagos. And I won't ask anyone in the audience or even my co-panelists what image comes to mind when you say the word Lagos, but I'm sure for many of you, it's not a very positive image. And yet we're also aware of the places that we have experience with, that what you read in the media is not always accurate on that. So there are some places around the world, I don't necessarily have a positive, I won't name them in this setting. I don't necessarily have a positive viewpoint, but again, it's because I haven't experienced those places. The places that many places I've had a chance to experience, I come away with a positive viewpoint on that. And that the reason I raise all this is because if we think about the nexus of trade, of investment, of education, those are all elements that take others or otherness and make it familiar on that. And it's such a powerful force for peace around the world, which is the objective of all the people today. I mean, it's been written many times by economists, you don't go to war with people that you do trade with on that. But particularly in the Nigerian context right now, it's not just trades in goods and services that's critical. It's also just the movement of people to remove that feeling of otherness. So as I said before, I'm sure, as I won't ask again, but we all have negative feelings, or many of us negative feelings about Nigeria. And yet there's such a large Nigerian diaspora. And I've written very much about this in the Nigerian context, saying that's our greatest asset, because that incredible diaspora, many of them educated with very strong positions in the countries, their new homes, they're the ones that are projecting a positive image of Nigeria, are negating the sense of otherness of Nigeria as an example, otherness of Africa as an example on that. So when we take our objective as people who are all pursuing peace, each of those connectivities adds to that equation. The more connections, and it's not just one of the things I think that's very critical, and something that is maybe hard to understand from a Western viewpoint, is we tend to think of the axis as going Europe, Africa, or US, Africa, Europe, India, US, India, Europe, China, US, China. But the reality is it's not a question of those relationships. It's a whole matrix of relationships. I mean, it's incredible when you sit in Nigeria to see the connectivity between Nigeria and Lebanon, the connectivity between Nigeria and India, for example. So we're not trying to create just a few strands in this connectivity. We're trying to create a very deep and strongly woven matrix across all parts of the globe on that. And when I get asked about geopolitical issues in Nigeria, and my answer is very clear. I said, look, Nigeria and Africa as a whole, we want to have strong, peaceful, fruitful relations with everyone. We want it with China, despite the present difficulties we face. We want it with Southeast Asia. We want it with Indochina, with Pakistan, with India. We want it with the Middle East. We want it with Europe, and we want it with the United States on that. So we want that strong bonds in a very rich sort of matrix going forward. And we're just bringing out a paper, for example, on the relationship between Nigeria and India, with Nigeria about to be the world's second largest democracy by population, and not too distant future on that. But let me end my remarks by adding one other point, which I think is critical. I mean, we're all aware, obviously, of COVID, and as Robin said, we're going to have a prayer for those victims of COVID. We all truly hope that we'll build back better, though I have to confess, when I read some of the press in North America and the UK, I'm not sure we're headed that way. But one of the things that is really central to building back better is resiliency. So what does resiliency mean? Well, in the trade context, it means that you can't be over-reliant on one supply chain. I mean, we all see some of the difficulty. I mean, in addition to all the human loss, but we're seeing some economic losses that come because we had what were efficient but very fragile supply chains, long supply chains, unique suppliers of certain key components on that. So as we come out of this, if we think of trade for peace, we want a system that is much more robust and much more resilient to shocks on that. And for 30 years, we've traded off resiliency for efficiency. But what we're finding is that an efficient system can often be extremely fragile. So a resilient system in this context would mean you'd have rich trade relationships and all manners of goods and services, all manners of value added across many different nations and many different combinations. So if one of the supply chains had a break in the link, then it's not going to bring down the whole system on that. So let me stop with my remarks there. I'm really looking forward to listening to every panelist today. But just again, thank UPF and Robin and all of my co-panelists and speakers today. It's really an immense privilege to be part of it. So thank you.